Well, we had enough possessions tonight, and it was a possession game, even though they were shooting a very high percentage in the first half. They only got 19 shots off. So sometimes when you hold an opponent to 30% shooting and they get a lot of offensive rebounds, sometimes you think you're not playing well on the backboard. It's the same thing with shooting. You can take a percentage like they had, but you can look at the amount of shots in the first half, and it was 35-19. It ended up with 71-45, and that was the difference in the game.
You had to play a stretch without Montrez in the second half. Is that kind of good in a way to kind of get?
Yeah, we shouldn't have had to play a stretch without him, but we did, and we got through it. And it's a shame because he was playing a good game.
Was this the kind of game that you wanted to see your guys have? I know it's USF and they've struggled, but where your team doesn't shoot the lights out, but you still have to do other things?
You know, I think the thing that sometimes you disregard, we're better in South Florida, don't get me wrong. We were better than some of the teams like Houston that we've played. We have more talent. But it's the way you're playing against those teams that's impressive. Because if you look at every league and you look at the bottom, the way the bottom plays the top sometimes, top teams, and you realize what we're doing, sometimes you just take it for granted, and I don't as a coach. I think they're very focused, they're very tuned in. Tonight, why you may think we didn't play as well, because we didn't shoot the ball as well. If you break it down, they were open shots, they didn't go in. The other night they did go in. But you still moved the basketball, you still did a lot of good things. You only turned it over 8 times, you had 20 forced turnovers, you had 10 steals, so there were a lot of good things. I think that, without question, I like what Mango did tonight. He bailed us out of quite a few situations with blocks and offensive fouls. So I like the way he played. I thought he did a very good job.
Why do you think there is that disparity between the bottom half of the league? I mean, it's not even close at this point.
Well, you know, I think it happens in a lot of leagues. If you look at the Big East right now, it's happened to them. If you look at the only one, there's a few conferences where it hasn't happened, but you know, like the Big Ten, it hasn't happened. But every conference has that. You know, the old Big East that we were in, you know, had 9 teams in the tournament, so they didn't have that. But the ACC this year has maybe 4 or 5 teams that are going to get in. So it's always going to be that way.
Coach, we saw a lot of different shots tonight as far as offense, floaters, layups, fast break dunks. What do you think your team needs to work on the most as you embark on the road trip?
You know, the guys at the end of the game, the last 4 or 5 minutes, played the zone to perfection, where our biggest weakness tonight was our zone traps, and the starters didn't defend it well. Russ and Chris did not do a good job, and then Tim and Anton did a very good job. So that's probably just our matchups in the zone has to get better. But I think we're playing pretty good basketball right now. We're gonna continue to get better. I think February is the time to get better. March is the time to win, and I think we're doing that.
Coach, it seems like the on-court chemistry is getting better, where guys are actually playing off one another and doing less, of pretty much just trying to go one-on-one. Does it seem like the on-court chemistry, because guys are actually getting into a solid rotation, is that helping out?
Yeah, I think so. I think Russ is gonna get a little better at that. I think Russ just at home gets excited and tries to turn on the crowd with special things. I think because he's just a freshman, he just does that.
You're getting more from Mango and Steven now against a team like Cincinnati. What do you expect from them? What do they need?
Well, Cincinnati hurt us in the beginning because they switched, and we didn't take advantage when they did switch of certain situations, and we got off to a slow start, and then we came on and played very well. But we know, look, we're going to be we've already been to 2 extremely hostile places with Kentucky and Connecticut, and we're going to go into 3 extremely hostile places with Cincinnati, SMU, and Memphis. So it'll be very good for us to get us tournament ready, and we're starting to play the right type of basketball right now. High number of assists, low number of turnovers. By and large, pretty good defense.
Montrez broke the dunk record tonight. Is he one of the most dunk-hungry players that you've ever coached?
I really haven't thought about that, Howie, too much, to be honest with you. Dunk-hungry. So, I'm surprised that a sophomore kid who played limited time as a freshman could set that, I would think right away that Dr. Duncanstein would have had that by many done. So it's kind of incredible that a sophomore could do it who played limited time as a freshman. It's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Rick, Russ passed Wes Unseld on the all-time scoring list tonight. I mean, I think for a lot of people, they're surprised that Russ has gotten to this point. What can you say about his career?
Like I looked at some of the rankings, and Russ one ranking point was like 90th in the country. And I just, being an ex-pro coach, like I'm praying that the New York Knicks draft Russ. I'm praying, because I think he'd be great with the Knicks. Because they need some guys that can get in the lane and do certain things and get after the basketball. And, the Knicks are my team, so I'm hoping that Russ can go there because they need a guy like him desperately. And so, it only takes one or two teams who really like a player. And I'm hoping people really study him because he can be a dynamic basketball player at the next level. Now, we can't say that Russ is as good as Wesley Unseld, to go back to your question. You weren't born with Wesley Unseld. But Wes Unseld used to take the ball off the rim and throw it almost three-quarter court on an outlet. And he's one of the top 50 players of all time at 6'7", 6'8". So he's one of the greatest Louisville basketball players ever. That doesn't diminish how good Russ Smith is.
How do you think Russ has answered some of the questions this year that in terms of?
Well, what we asked of him, what the pro scouts wanted to see is better shooting percentage, better shot selection, accomplished. A positive assist turnover record, accomplished. He's not going to, he doesn't have great bulk. I wish Chris would give him some of his fat, but he doesn't. But in the off season, he gains 8 or 10 pounds, and he'll get stronger. So he's a concept. When you look at it, and everybody talks about great players, all the people who look at it, they want to fall. Everybody wants to fall in love with new players and new things, the newest phone, the newest gadget, everybody loves new things, but you look at the guys that are having great years, is the young man from Creighton, Shabazz Napier, so many upperclassmen are really getting the job done. Now, that doesn't diminish what Jabari Parker or Randall or a young man from Syracuse, Tyler Enos are doing. They're playing awesome basketball, but some of the veterans right now are really lifting their basketball teams. And Russ's resume, 2 back-to-back Big East championships, 2 Final Fours, and national championship. Pretty tough to beat that resume. That's why if the Knicks would draft him, I think they would really improve
Along the lines of potential draft picks, what were your thoughts of Victor Rudd tonight and the way that he played for the Bulls?
Well, Victor Rudd is the type of basketball player that pros like. He's long, athletic, and only going to get better. So they love, guys like that love that type of athleticism. Now, he needs to go left better, he needs to offensive rebound more. He needs to get inside more. So many, like you saw Montrez, we ran a low post play, and what did he do? He took a turnaround 18-foot jump shot. What the pros want to see is get in that low post, go to your jump hook, turn over the shoulder, and take that. They got a lot of guys that can take fadeaway 18-foot. It's the same thing with Rudd. He's terrific on the perimeter, so he needs to get in there and dominate the interior with some offensive moves. But every power forward in college wants to be a small forward. Every small forward wants to be a 2-guard, and every center wants to be a power forward. But they don't realize what the pros look for. They listen to people. I always tell a story about Roderick Rhodes, who I coached, who was a great young man, and great defender, great slasher, great passer, terrific low post player. And it was a first-round draft choice. What did he want to do? Just shoot threes to show everybody he could shoot threes. Did 7 things awesome, but he'd get in the game, and that's what Rudd's got to learn to do. He's just got to dominate the paint more, and then everybody's going to say, wow, he can do it all. And I hope he makes it because he's quite an athlete.
Coach, talk a little bit about Terry Rozier. Every game it seems like he's getting a little bit better and better. What are the tangibles, intangibles he's bringing each game?
I think this is his 15th turnover now in 26 games. And, again, Tyler Enos is awesome, plays all 40 minutes. And he's a great player, one of the premier players in the country. But he's up here, and I put Terry up here too. So that's the highest compliment I could give him, is he doesn't play 40 minutes a game. He's a role player, sometimes a starter, but I think he's got awesome talent as well, getting better and better. And he just doesn't have the we have Russ Smith and we have Chris Jones, upperclassmen, so he's playing behind. But I think Tyler Enos is having as good a year as any guard in the country, and I think Terry's in his class.
One more for Coach, anybody?
Coach, talk about guys at the next level. Luke, what's the potential for him going forward at the next level?
I think Luke can make a lot of money in business. And I don't mean that in a negative way that he can't be a pro. I think Luke is the type of guy that can go into business and make more in business than he can as a professional basketball player. So I take that as a compliment to Luke. He's very, very good. He can try out for the pros, but Luke will make $1 million more in business way before he makes $1 million in basketball, and that's because he has a dynamic personality. He's a great-looking guy. He's a great networker. He's humble. He's got all the ingredients. So I'm not saying that to diminish his basketball skills, which I think are marvelous.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.